All right, we're back. It's another Daily Stew. We got a fun new segment for you. It's called Right or Wrong. This is where I ask Brian Wright, Wrighc, a
Yes.
handful of questions, and he tells us if they're right or wrong, and he lets us know why. You ready for this, Brian?
I guess. Hopefully it's like I said, like Paul said, we haven't prepared for this at all. I have no clue what's coming. Paul's got a little bit better knowledge about everything than I do, so but I have strong opinions, and so that's all that
I
matters.
may have more knowledge. Brian has more opinions, so that's where we're going with. So Brian does not know any of the questions that are prepared. These are all sports related questions outside of one. All right, first one. We just learned Max Fried signed with the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Will Max Fried have a bigger impact than Juan Soto in the 2025 Major League Baseball season?
Yes. Yes. My first instinct is yes, and I really, other than him being a pitcher, directly affecting essentially probably 30 games. Is that about right, Paul? You get about 30
30
starts
to
for the year.
35 in that range if you're healthy.
For no other reason than that, he'll have a bigger impact. It's, if we're talking about wins and losses on the field, if you talk about community, you talk about hope, you talk about ticket sales, you talk about some of the other things, Juan is probably going to outdo him in those fields. But when you talk about actually wins and losses, yeah, I think our boy who just signed, I think it's the largest contract for a left-handed pitcher, right?
Left-handed pitcher ever, yeah. So we'll go back at the end of the 2025 season and check the WAR, and I guess that'll dictate who's.
Hey, Paulie, do you have an opinion on that, or do you want me just to be wrong or right?
I'd like for you to be right or wrong, but I tend to agree with you. Starting pitching I think is the most important. I think he, as long as he stays healthy, will have a bigger impact on the bottom line from wins and losses. All right, next question. Travis Hunter will win the Heisman this year.
Man, it's hard to, even though our boy out at Boise State, what's his name?
Genty?
Genty. Even though he's had a record-breaking year, it's hard to argue with somebody who's playing on both sides of the ball and probably the top two, if not the top one, on as a corner and as a receiver. Obviously featured with Colorado. You've got a guy with Deion Sanders that essentially, whether he intends to or not, creates hype around anything that he's involved in, right? And Hunter is included in that. So I would say, yeah, and I think the odds clearly back it up. I think he's like, yeah, the odds clearly back it up. What do you think, Paul?
I think he's a shoo-in. I think he's a lock. He's a lock. Next one. Major League Baseball instituted a draft lottery. They did the first one the other day. The Washington Nationals got the first pick. Is the Major League Baseball lottery good for baseball?
I'm gonna go no. I don't even know if it's good for any sport. I know they're trying to get away from teams tanking towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
I know the idea behind it. I almost think like the bottom 10 teams sort of have to play for the first pick, maybe the last 10 games or something in baseball. Maybe it's the last 5 games in basketball because I understand why they're doing it. Baseball, even draft picks, I think it is becoming clearer who are the guys, right? In regards to the draft. A lot of times college has gotten so good. They're spending less times in college. So I think the draft is making that much bigger of a deal now. But it is opposed in the past, right? Obviously, first rounders, you expect them to go, but a lot of times those first 5 or 10 picks, I don't know the odds off the top of my head or percentages, but I think it's extremely high. It's usually a story when they don't make it. I don't love it, but it is. You don't want teams tanking because you want to keep the integrity of the season. It's 162 games for Pete's sake.
And the lottery instituted originally for basketball, and it makes sense in basketball because one player can have a much bigger impact on the game than in baseball. And one guy comes in drafted, you're in the NBA the next year. Major League Baseball, a really good player, yeah, it's a year and a half minimum, right? Paul Skeens probably the exception, a few guys the exception, but most guys take a little time to get to and progress to the big league. So I don't really love it in Major League Baseball. I don't think it's and to your right, the drafting of Major League Baseball players or amateur players isn't as exact science as some of the other sports. We got two more for you. All right.
All right.
It seems like Bill Belichick is going to get the job at Carolina. I'm putting an over under on wins. You tell me right or wrong, over under. 8.5 is the number. You go over or under?
I don't know their schedule. With 17 teams now in the ACC, it can be a pretty wide variety of competition that you play. Number one. Number two, I don't think it's a guarantee he's got the job yet, right? I know there's all these things. Hey, there's conversations. I don't remember there ever being a hiring to where it's like, all right, he's getting it. Like I've seen reports that he accepted it, and maybe that's just people on Twitter. I don't ever remember there being reports where they're kind of conflicting. So I'm not even 100% sure he's going to get the job.
Let's not talk around the question. The question, 8.5 wins, over or under for Bill Belichick at Carolina. Don't give me this nonsense.
Well, I'm trying to give myself a little bit of time to think about what I'm going to say. I have no clue even what their schedule is off the top of my head. I would say under, just under. I would say 8. 8 would be I mean, again, I'm sure he'll get an offensive guy that can move the ball. I'm sure they're not giving up to 70 points to JMU. No. Teams like that. I think there's still going to be some pushback for some athletes that everybody publicly saying, oh, who wouldn't want to play for Bill Belichick? Well, there's a lot of guys in the NFL who didn't want to play for Bill Belichick. And so I'm not sure, 18, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid who's got other options is automatically saying UNC is top on their list.
Okay.
Where do you go from there?
I think they go over. I think there's just a surge of recruits. I think they get it. I think people want to be there now. That's after seeing some of the things that have come out with his 400-page essay to Carolina, his plan and all this. I think he's got it figured out. He's not the greatest coach of all time for no reason. So I think 9 wins. Last one, the McRib is back. The McRib is back at McDonald's. Will you have a McRib before it goes into hibernation again?
No, I think that's probably one of the most overrated sandwiches ever created. I mean, it is. Really? I've had them. It tastes like something you would get at your high school cafeteria with a lady with hairs coming out of moles. It never appealed to me. It looks like it's got to be a direct cousin to Spam, right? And Spam is nothing you ever eat whenever you're doing well in life. Right? You eat Spam when, hey, I got to have food. I want some protein, and I'm going to eat meat out of a can. This definitely comes out of a can. It's not one piece of the pig. It's probably got bone, gristle. No, I think that's the most overrated. The reason they don't sell it all year long, Paulie, is because it's not that good, right? If they sold it all year long, nobody would buy it. They created this marketing around it, and I think it's so overrated. So it sounds like you probably like this, though. It seems like something you would.
Sounds like the big fella might have had one for lunch today. So check out Instagram, TikTok. You can see a little bit of that. We'll have a video out there about me eating a McRib sandwich. All right, that was right or wrong. We'll check back, follow up on the results, see how we did. Thanks for listening today. We appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, follow. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Pod, Spotify, iHeart Radio. Get out there and make sure you're telling others about us. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Out. Go Pack.